ever feel like, rhythm? It's like this language. You can feel it, but you can't quite, grasp it.
Hmm.
We're taking a deep dive today into a book that has been causing quite a stir. It's called The Dictionary of Rhythm,
Okay.
and musicians everywhere are calling it a game changer.
Interesting.
John Lamb, in his review, he said it's not just about, defining rhythms, but it's about really using them
Right.
to compose and to teach.
Yeah.
So what is it about this dictionary that's got everyone buzzing?
Well, I think one of the things that makes this so fascinating is that the idea of writing down rhythm is a lot more complex than it seems.
Okay.
A single rhythm can have different meanings depending on where it falls in a musical phrase, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like imagine trying to understand a single word without any of the context of the sentence that it's in.
It's true. Like, I'm thinking of the word present. Right. It
Right.
could be a gift, or it could be like describing, the here and now, the present moment.
Exactly. Totally different vibes, right?
Totally different.
Yeah. And previous attempts at creating rhythm dictionaries, they were helpful, like, Ted Reed's Syncopation for the Modern Drummer.
Yeah, classic.
But they kind of presented these rhythms in isolation a lot of the time. So you're missing that context. And this is where the dictionary rhythm is really interesting. They introduced this concept of what they call metrical context.
This is what everyone's talking about with this book, right? This idea of metrical context.
Right.
But for those of us who, maybe haven't cracked open this dictionary yet, break it down. What does that even mean?
Okay. So imagine, like, you walk into a movie, but you're halfway through.
Okay.
And you pick up these, like, bits of dialogue here and there.
Right.
But you don't really know, like, what's the plot? Who are these characters? What's the context?
Right. You're lost.
You're totally lost.
Yeah.
So metrical context is kind of like you get the whole movie script, right?
Oh, that's...
For every single rhythm. So it's not just like, here's this cool rhythm. It's like, here's this cool rhythm, and this is where it exists within a measure, within a phrase, within like the entire pulse of the music.
So it's like, instead of just, hearing a drummer hit a snare drum, you're understanding why that makes you tap your foot.
Exactly.
It's giving you the why. It's not just random notes. It's like, oh, it's all about where it falls.
Yeah, and the really cool thing about the way they do it in the Dictionary of Rhythm is they'll show you the same rhythm in all these different metrical contexts.
Wow.
So like a simple, drum beat on the snare drum, right?
Mhm.
If it falls on the end of two, it might give you this like feeling of anticipation.
Okay.
But that same exact rhythm, if it's on beat 3, it might feel more grounded.
Wow.
It's all about where it lands.
It makes it so valuable for not just for composing, but also for learning and teaching, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you can see how one rhythm, just by shifting it, can create so many different feelings,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Like this, it's like a toolkit for teachers. It's
Mhm.
like, here are all these different possibilities of how to use this one simple, rhythmic idea.
Right, exactly.
And for
Mhm.
composers, oh my gosh, can you imagine? This is like finding like a gold mine.
Yeah.
It's like you're not just finding a rhythm.
Yeah.
You're finding the perfect rhythm to evoke that exact emotion.
It's like, how a thesaurus can help you find the best word.
Yes.
This is helping you find the best rhythm.
A thesaurus of rhythm.
Yes.
Exactly. It's like you're expanding your rhythmic vocabulary.
I'm thinking about, I was listening to Billie Eilish the other day,
Okay.
and it just kind of dawned on me listening to Bad Guy, like, the placement of the snare drum in that chorus
Right.
is what gives it that off-kilter,
Right.
that addictive,
Yes. Absolutely.
It all comes back to that metrical context.
And I think even for people who aren't musicians, right?
Right.
Just understanding that exists, that there's this metrical context, can change the way they listen to music.
Totally.
They might start to pick up on, like, oh, that's why that is so catchy.
Exactly. It's not just an accident. It's all very intentional.
Yes.
This whole deep dive into the Dictionary of Rhythm, it's got me thinking, if rhythms are like words, is composing music almost like writing a story?
Oh, interesting.
And is this dictionary then not just a musician's dictionary, but also their book of plot twists? Something to think about.
That's a good question.
Right.
Yeah.
Lots to explore.